I'm Tony Marr from the Business Journal. And today I'm joined by Barry Bordeaux and John Schuler from Sodexo Roth. And one of the big things, the topics that everyone is worrying about right now as businesses are slowly starting to reopen is, reopening. That's the big concern. So today we're going to be talking about, what are some of those best practices for reopening, some of those technologies that are out there that help you reopen safely and stay open, because there's nothing more stressful about reopening than having to close again after you reopen because you're not doing something well. So, Sodexo Roth, they've been around for 90 years, and to kind of quote the Farmers Insurance commercial, they know a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two. They're an international company all over, the U.S. And just working with whom they've worked with, there's a lot of knowledge there. And, I guess without any further ado, John and Barry, what are you finding that are some of the best practices? I mean, you guys can take it away with this one for real.
Great. Thanks, Tony. Appreciate it. Just want to thank the Business Journal for providing the opportunity to do this. Typically I work in the basement. So this gave me a reason to come upstairs for the day. My wife let me. So actually we're in the process of deploying within our office space a lot of what we're about to talk about here. So we will be back in the office within the next couple of weeks after we retrofit, but we've got, over 350 employees. So we've got a lot of people to make sure we're taking care of. So Tony said it well. We're going to talk today real quick about making sure you reopen your business properly. So before we get started, I just want to note that what we're going to talk about here is pretty relevant, likely for your business type, if you're watching today, simply because we work with so many different kinds of clients, both in the retail industry, healthcare industry, government industry. We've really dabbled in a lot of different markets. So, and we understand that the solutions are not one size fits all. So I think that our customized approach will be pretty neat to see. So we start every meeting off, as is our Sodexo culture, with safety moment. So we're going to go ahead and do that here. But common reactions to coronavirus in terms of both emotional and physical health are really common. Everyone's experiencing a lot of these symptoms currently. So the idea of feeling, stressed or anxiety or helplessness or frustration, and then that can oftentimes manifest into physical symptoms of, increased heart rate and stomach upset, low energy, things of that nature. We just want to note that there are certain strategies you can employ for coping with some of the emotional distress you might be feeling. So it's important to acknowledge your feelings, make sure you're staying connected, both with friends and family. You can do that virtually, or healthcare professionals if needed. There's a lot of virtual option and a lot of in-person options that are made available now with a lot of responses that folks have been taking to reopen. And then we just encourage everyone to make sure you're seeking accurate information and kind of setting limits around how often you're participating with or engaging in news and social media, because there's so much content happening right now that we just encourage people to make sure that you're spending the appropriate amount of time for you with those kinds of things. And it's easy to obsess over that sort of stuff, and just want to make sure you're taking care of yourselves so you can take care of your families. So with that being said, I do want to kick it over to Barry. Barry's our Vice President of Sales and Business Development nationally. So I work for Barry, and he's going to go ahead and give you a quick overview of our organization.
Sure. Thanks, John. So many of you, if you live in the Northeast Ohio, Western Pennsylvania area, have likely seen our trucks on the road. We've been around, as it says, since 1923, so we're coming up on our 100th anniversary here in the near term. And Sodexo Roth started out as a local roofing and HVAC provider way back in 23, and have grown to offer a wide variety of integrated facilities maintenance offers here, including HVAC, roofing, electrical, plumbing. Roof asset management has really become a large focus for our clients. And while we don't install new roofs, we do manage and we do evaluate roof systems, and we do design as well. our building automation system remote monitoring group really brings a lot of insight to our clients into the performance of their systems and optimizes them to make sure that, and we're going to talk more about them as we talk about our partnership with Schneider in a minute here, but really helps our customers to deliver energy efficiency and optimized performance. Our HVAC construction group offers a full design build capability and has a 80,000 square foot sheet metal shop custom fabrication here in Youngstown. It's become kind of the epicenter of some of the offers that we have here and some of the product that we are building currently to deal with the current situation. And our newest offer would be our utility rebate harvesting and utility rebate administration group. We've been working probably about 10 years in that area now, and finding and harvesting rebates for our clients to help them access funds available through utilities to complete some of the projects that they're undertaking. So Roth is a Schneider dealer. Schneider has just a massive product and service offering. Roth has been a dealer with Schneider since I believe it's 1978. Whether it's VFD drives, UPS systems, lighting systems, controls, we have access to them as a dealer. But typically where Roth has participated and has brought product to our clients is around HVAC and lighting control. On the HVAC control side, we can also incorporate some UVC technology, which we'll get to here momentarily. But some other systems that are relevant in what we're getting into, including people counting and temperature monitoring as we're dealing with COVID, are very important, where these systems can identify people who have come in who may be potentially at risk to themselves and to others, and we should identify those folks. And in helping with social distancing, the people counting component is very important to help limit the number of people within the facility and to limit that potential overcrowding as we try to distance effectively. CCTV and security along the security side of things also can be integrated into our enterprise system. Tony, did you have a statement?
I was going to say the people counting, that's actually huge, especially retail wise. You know, as sizes are limited to how many people can be in a store, I mean, that's kind of going to save a lot of companies, you know, either getting shut down or getting fined for having overcapacity. So that's definitely a great, and does that work in real time?
Yeah. So as people leave and people enter, we can we'll have addition subtraction to the count that's within the facility. You know, we've all been to stores here locally where you walk in and they have spacing on the floor, and they have an attendant even at the door telling you when you can come in. And really, these systems can allow those retailers to let the system do the work and to get their people you know, back into the facility and being productive towards you know, their daily job rather than having an attendant there at the door. And obviously provides good visibility to the customer as well, that you're taking that extra step and taking that precaution to keep them safe. So it's a really good and clean and professional look. Yeah. You know, as far as the software capabilities go, we do have the ability to integrate multiple controls systems. So whether or not it's a Schneider system or not, we can certainly provide an interface that can draw back key points and can help us to monitor remotely or to access those systems and gain control and take advantage. So you're not in a complete retrofit situation all the time. And we also offer analytics products that help us to fully understand the efficiency and the working condition of equipment and identify shortcomings and address them before they become a major expense. And we do that through our remote monitoring group, which is on site at Sodexo Roth. It's a 24/7 operation, and they really do a great job of proactively identifying and stopping truck rolls that are unnecessary, which saves you some on the operational side as well. So these are long time operations that we have at Sodexo Roth, and we've had significant success over the years deploying them. So certainly can be of assistance here in the situation.
Yeah, and I think, so we kind of structured this outline almost like a narrative. So now that we've sort of introduced our organization and our organization's capabilities and some of our partnerships with folks like Schneider, we're gonna sort of dive into, given all of our spread of capabilities, what we've done in response to COVID-19 and what our clients have been asking us for, and sort of how we've deployed service in response to all of this. So
yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, and this, stay with us because we're gonna hit some slides here, and it's they all connect. So the twist ending doesn't make sense until you get to the very end. So
Sure, you're gonna channel on us, aren't you? I knew it.
yes,
Knew it.
it's going to be just like the Sixth Sense. All right. So in terms of what we're seeing though from CDC recommendations from COVID-19, you know, the CDC is in a tough spot because they have much like Sodexo Roth does, so many markets that are looking to them for answers saying, hey, what do we do? What's the safest way to reopen? What's the safest way to mobilize? What do we do? So their guidelines have been getting specific per niche, but, you know, on the whole, overall, you know, they're asking that updated strategies and recommendations for employers. You know, they're conducting daily health checks for their personnel, hazard assessments in the workplace, face coverings, but a lot of what's starting to come is this idea of social distancing and how do you implement social distancing in areas where social distancing was never priority prior. Also improving the building ventilation system. We're going to talk a lot about this. So as a mechanical contractor for 97 years, we have a lot of expertise in ventilation systems and understanding how to appropriately make sure that air quality is as high as it can be, and that contagions are being eliminated or limited. So that being said, we're going to talk a minute about data, and this is going to lead us into the actual specific offers that we've compiled and created and are mobilizing in response. So the idea of data and why it's important, particularly in the COVID-19 world, is it allows real-time assessment of what is important. So you're aggregating and collecting data, and your building automation system is oftentimes the device that you can use to pull all of this data in. So you get reports and metrics and visibility, and that allows you to effectively create plans or responses or actionable insight on how to adjust your operating model within your respective area. And then, and furthermore, the importance of data really allows you to create communication to your management team or to your executive team or to the state, to the health department, whoever is asking for, hey, you know, what are you seeing within your facility? Creating these measures and making sure that they're being tracked and implemented is important. So that way you can do all of this.
Right.
So we were asking the question, okay, great. We know data is important. We know building automation systems are a thing. So how does that connect, and how does this lead to offers? So essentially anything that can be tied into a Wi-Fi network can be connected to a building automation system. Yeah. So the traditional stuff that we had referenced, you know, the mechanical equipment or the lighting or security or energy usage, that's what we've been doing for, you know, 40 years within this space. But in COVID-19, we're talking about the people counting measures. We're talking about the UVC modifications you can make to air systems. We're talking about body temperature and how that could route into a building automation system. So legitimately anything that connects to a Wi-Fi network, you can pull in to a BAS system. So that way you have compiled into one interface and one dashboard all the metrics that you deem important. And as those metrics change and as those ideas change, you can extract the data accordingly for what it is that you need to do to operate your business safely. So Barry, I'm going to kick it over to you to talk about our first two offers that Sodexo Roth has compiled in response to COVID-19.
Sure. So just real quick in reference to something that John had mentioned before, you know, obviously organizing a plan, designing that plan can be daunting, and that is something we've helped with some of our clients. So we've assisted in kind of the design of that plan. They don't know where to start. So, and there are some forms and some things you can use as a starting point to really design your plan. So, you know, if there's any question, concern about that, obviously we can work with you to kind of get a start to that and point out to the key items you can take action upon. So just keep that in mind. Right. So within our office spaces, we have 400 people that are employed at Sodexo Roth, and within the office space, I would say we're pretty near 300. And we operate in many cubicle environments and in some close quarters in some places. And so in order to protect our employees, we started looking at what we could do and how we could utilize the tools that we have in place within our facility already to provide some safety and to take some measures. So we started making plexiglass partitions, and we've done so in a variety of different fashions. In some cases, it's been for our clientele. In other cases, in our office, we've made them to fit the spaces that we have in our cube spaces, and we have different cubes in different areas. And so we've been able to customize really to fit any space and to any height as well, to provide that barrier protection for our employees. So they're made right here in Youngstown, Ohio, very minimal assembly. They fit right on top of the cube spaces that we're using. And in many cases, we organize them so you don't have to make them necessarily permanent. You don't have to drill them in necessarily. They kind of are a snap and fit kind of situation. So very clean, easy to install, no reduction in your visibility, and also important is easy to take care of, right? Yeah. We don't want to get ourselves into a spot where it becomes more maintenance, upkeep, and it's an additional cost related to it. There's already enough significant cost around cleaning and upkeep to our environment that's been brought on by COVID, but very simple, straightforward. If you want to hit the next.
Yeah, and what I love about the plexiglass is, as we're talking about high-tech solutions, it's that low-tech solution that that is offering a lot of protection. I mean, you see it everywhere as you're going out too.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, you really can't come across a space that you don't see it somewhere. And right. At one point in time early on in this, it was hard to come by too. The plexiglass was fairly scarce. But as you can see, we have a tabletop configuration on the right there. So whether it's for conference tables and portability to have face-to-face meetings in conference rooms, or if it's partitions, as we see standing partitions on the left, as well as those that are fixed directly to your cubicles or desk spaces, we have solutions for really any environment. And the fact that the shop can customize and build these to any configuration is important too. They're not all just standard sizes. It's literally your need, your situation, your facility. So very proud of what we've been able to do to help both our customers and for our employees as well.
Yeah, and I think part of what has really launched our ability and need to create these kinds of solutions has been the fact that we're a wholly owned subsidiary of Sodexo, which is traditionally a food service company. Sure. So many Sodexo clients are food service accounts in major hospitals and major universities. And the food service component and how to do that safely and how to mobilize safely is a huge factor. So whether it be, stations where cash transactions or credit card transactions are occurring to buy meals, or, barriers for, elongated barriers for where people are communicating on what they want to order. We've been retrofitting and customizing a ton of solutions in that space. So it's kind of forced us and asked us to get super creative, and we've risen to the call, which has been great.
And I was going to say that goes along with pretty much the crux of everything. It's about adaptability, especially during this time. And you guys have definitely adapted a lot. I mean, checking all the news stories that you have coming out. I mean, the plexiglass, and even the little pieces that go on the face mask. You guys have taken,
yeah,
a terrible situation, but have adapted to it. And now you are getting out there and offering solutions about how to operate, during these times.
I think that's one of the key things that's really driven Roth's growth over the years, is that we've consistently adapted to the needs that are being presented by our clients and offered products and solutions to meet those needs, whether it was starting as a roofing contractor, bringing on HVAC bringing on a construction group, HVAC systems and energy management needs, bringing out an building automation group that addressed both the power needs, the energy needs, as well as the HVAC side of things, adding plumbing, electrical, and handyman services, et cetera, to our portfolio, because our clients have said, we've done a great job of that. Can you add these things? So that's really been kind of where this company has grown and evolved. And so our flexibility and adaptability has truly been the growth engine of the company.
Right.
So let's move on to the hands-free door openers. So obviously, as we've all been creative in the ways we choose to open doors, especially in restaurants of that nature, whether it's with hand towels, or if they happen to be the type of restroom or facility that doesn't have a towel to grab with, we all get creative in making that happen. So we thought, especially in light of the serious risks that are currently out there, we thought we'd come up with maybe a simpler way to avoid that, and hopefully avoid any injury and contorting your body to get out of that door in a creative fashion. So we've made these in our shop as well.
I think we're losing Barry a little bit there.
Yeah, and again, talking about these, it's that low tech solution that you don't really think of, but it's huge. I know, for me, after, if I'm using restroom at work, we have the door you actually have to pull open. So it's like I run down the hall like a doctor and to find my hand sanitizer, so.
Yeah, and we again, this was one of those things that we were getting questions about, and we've been fabricating within our shop.
Sure.
So much like those little components that you see that kind of bind the plexiglass together,
right?
We do that in the same fashion, and there's an economy of scale that occurs if you order 50 of these or 500 of them or 25 of them. There's an economy of scale to bundle everything together. And it's pretty short lead time. We crank them out in the shop, and again, we've had a huge influx with this. But Tony, if I share a video, are we able to see it?
I believe so.
All right,
Sorry
let's give it a try.
Conked out there. I'm back.
Oh, you're all right.
We got you, buddy. We got you. So this is the, oh, wow.
So as you can see, it's very, and we'll go ahead and circulate this presentation to anyone who's attended after the fact, so you guys can spend some time with it and share it amongst your organizations. But it's super easy to use, very intuitive, and we do provide pre-printed signage too, so you can fix that to the door so people understand. Oh, that's what that thing is down there for hands-free.
It's not a doorstop at all. No.
Make sure they're paying attention, right? Yeah. So it's again, it's very inexpensive, very readily available, and something we're doing right here in town too. So
so you drag it open with your foot? Oh, I see.
Yep.
Okay, so instead of a handle for your hand, it's a foot handle.
Yep.
That is cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
So the last thing I think we want to touch on here is something. So we've been providing what's referred to as UVC technology. So there are 3 different applications with which we work with this product, which we'll dive into a little bit. But this is the C spectrum of the light spectrum, and it has a sanitation capability to it, both for surface application as well as for, we're going to touch on the coils within an HVAC unit. But essentially what it does is, as it crosses a surface, it eliminates growth or germs or anything. And I think it's 2 seconds of exposure, right, Barry, that eliminates coronaviruses with this kind of technology. But this has been in development and deployment for, I'd say the past 20 years, 25 years, maybe even 30 years. And this technology kills Legionnaire's disease, a bunch of other airborne or surface spread illnesses. So in addition to that, there are also, if you were to retrofit your HVAC equipment, you would see some savings in your energy costs too. So we've seen up to 15%. As Barry had mentioned, we also have the capability to deploy, rebate harvesting or for energy projects that are completed. So a lot of times, folks that have businesses in certain markets, if they're doing capital projects or upgrades or any type of construction, they can get rebates from their utility company for utilizing energy efficient equipment. And the UVC offer is some of that energy efficient equipment, because it makes your equipment run more effectively. It improves indoor air quality, which is the entire crux around all of this. Optimizes the performance of your HVAC unit, reduces the need for water use, which again is a huge incentive from a utility company, and it really can prevent the amount of maintenance that's required upon a unit. So
yeah, and you see a lot of it with a bunch of disinfecting companies that are using almost like a UV. It's pretty much the same thing, right?
Yeah, there are a lot of different manufacturers, and right now it's so tough. Tony, I think we were talking about this the other day. There are so many organizations that we're talking to that are in tough spots because they're saying, hey, so many people are trying to sell me stuff in response to COVID.
Right.
So, which is definitely a thing that's happening. There's no getting around that. That is something that people are doing. But with this technology, for example, the UVC, this is something that we've been interacting with, I'd say 18 to 24 months. So pre-COVID-19, this, just due to the energy efficiency and the markets that we work in, there was an appetite for this pre-COVID. So it was already something that we were kind of engaging and getting involved with and see the value in because of the energy savings. And not only are you going to get energy savings, but as we can see on this slide here, the airborne infection that can pass through they refer to as droplet nuclei. It can travel through a building through a ventilation system. And there have been a lot of studies done on this, on not just COVID-19, on other airborne illnesses that transmit through this method. So this is a pretty gross diagram here that sort of outlines that, but as you can see in the actual photograph there on the bottom right-hand side, you've got your UVC emitters, your coils up there, and that blue light is that UV light that would shine inside the unit and provide a cleaning to the actual unit itself. So as that air goes to pass through the unit, it stops, it gets UV'd, purifies the air, and then kind of circulates through. So
it looks like a little party in there.
Yeah.
And
I think what's important to note there is, you hear a variety of different strategies taken. In many cases, people think, well, I'll put a high grade filter in, but
right.
COVID-19 is smaller by 3 times than the highest grade, like a MERV 13 filters, which you currently, you hear a lot of. Number one, they're extremely expensive. Number two, they're not really effective in stopping the virus. Whereas at minimum, people will say, well, the velocity of the air through the system is going to be such that you won't be able to destroy the virus. There's still a high likelihood that it's at least impacted, weakened, or destroyed, even coming through here. But the key is that it is effective, not just towards COVID-19, but against all microbes, all bacteria, all fungi, all viruses that come through. There is an effect to it, both now and in the future. So if you want to truly be prepared for what we're trying to do there, there's nothing this hasn't had an impact in. The technology actually at its beginning was about 100 years ago, where it started to be used, and then more focused and specific emitters were built over time. And the company that we represent here is about 25 years in the business, and they have an extremely effective solution. So that we know that we're offering a best-in-class, highly effective solution that will impact. So the investment is worthwhile both now and in the future, in addition to the energy savings that are there. So we try to keep all of that in mind here. And we also know the peace of mind it brings to employees, and we have had some success with reduced absenteeism too, and reduced illness as a result of it. There are some secondary benefits to this as well. So I'll let John go ahead.
Yeah, and we have tons of collateral that supports any specific questions folks might have. There have been a ton of case studies and use applications in a variety of different markets. So if there's something specific you're curious about or want to see, it's likely we have something in the form of a study that's been done that we can share with you to either answer a question or create peace of mind for whatever you're thinking about.
Sure. And I was going to say, about a month ago, there was always that recommendation that if you have HVAC going, you should probably shut it down during this, so it kind of stops its spread. So this is kind of helping you, keep your AC on while, and keep you comfortable, right?
And we would definitely encourage, whether it's us that's providing your HVAC service or somebody else, definitely have a conversation with your service provider on that. Especially, we work a lot in the retail environment, and there have been a lot of ASHRAE recommendations on hey, use more recirculating air, or use this or use that. But as the humidity kicks up, that's going to have adverse effects not only on your units, but potentially on your environment. And if you're a high-end retailer, for example, you might be doing so. There are a ton of different factors that go into that. So we really encourage you to reach out to your service provider, or if you feel free to reach out to us. We'd be happy to answer questions, even if we're not your service provider on that. So just last couple things here, and then we can head to question and answer. But for the UVC technology, there are a couple different offers that exist. So you can use an actual in-room unit. So you can see that these are on wheels. So we've sourced a lot of these both in hospital environments as well as K through 12 school kind of environments. So UVC can be 100%. You want to make sure that you don't buy one of these on Amazon and go and use it. It can be detrimental if used improperly, because that light spectrum could cause health effects if it's not used properly. Really? So you want to make sure that you engage a professional organization to help guide through the uses of that. But these in-room units are great. You can wheel them in, shut the door, turn them on, let it go through its cycle for its sanitization. So that helps with surface disinfection as well as air quality. And a similar concept is this upper room application that you see here. So that's physically installed within a respective room, and same deal. It's more permanent approach. It's not moved from room to room, but it is an installation based concept. And then this is the one that we sort of already touched upon. This is the Airstream purification process, but this would be installed by a mechanical contractor, similar to what Sodexo Roth does. But these are installed downstream of the cooling coil, so it kills off any contaminants on the coil and really purifies that airstream and allows you to breathe cleaner air, which is the point of all this. So, and that's really it in terms of our response offers. We've had some other things that we've worked creatively with our clients on to assist with, but would be happy to answer any questions folks have right now on what they've seen or questions they might have. How
can the door opener be ordered? So what is the best way to get a hold of one of those door openers, or a bunch of them?
Yeah. So anyone that's been on the presentation, and Jeff, and forgive me if this is a Facebook Live user, we might not have their contact info. But I'm going to go ahead and put on the screen here how you can get a hold of Barry and I, and we will take care of you guys.
I have a question about the UVC stuff. So, there's lots of different ways to get the UVC. You have the big retrofitted HVAC, but then you have the smaller units. So that's really adaptable for any size business and really any budget.
Absolutely, it is. Each application is going to be a little different. We want to take a look at it and see what might be the best fit. Depends on what the space is being used for, the occupancy, et cetera. But there are things that we can do. There's even some surface treatment that we can add to the opportunity here, should we want to go a little further. So there's other options as well, but for the existing need here, I think this was most appropriate.
And there is some contact information for anyone that wants to order anything.
Yeah, I've been sourcing as the first stop, really the orders. So we'll connect you with the appropriate subject matter expert internally to provide a quote for you. But yeah, feel free to call or reach out via email, and we'll get you taken care of. Typical lead time on the door openers has been, I think, more like 7 to 10 days, and then the plexiglass partitions, given the complexity and size of the order, has been more in the two week lead time range. But again, that's dependent on order size and whatnot. So
sure.
So do you have a process, say a process of listening to the situation or viewing it, diagnosing, and then prescribing? And I'm sure a lot of people might say, oh, those door openers are cool. But then the more you probably get into a conversation, the more they realize they're limiting their potential, right? So, right, is that typically how you start off through this conversation, this process of helping people return to work safely?
Yeah, a lot of it is almost like a consultation when you go to meet with a contractor, or if you go to the dentist and start to explain your problem. You sort of go through the exploration process and identify, okay, well, no two environments are identical. You know, we even see chains that we work with that have hundreds or thousands of locations, and even within those locations, they have nuances that exist. So you know, that's part of the value of working with an organization like ours. And we're not the only people that do this, so there are others out there. But working with an organization like ours is important, I think, because we take the time to understand a comprehensive plan, and we don't want to sell just a, hey, this is a quick, you know, we keep referring to it as the snake oil that people are trying to sell or are trying to avoid being sold.
Right.
We really want to create a comprehensive plan that's suitable for your specific and your respective environment. And a lot of times it starts, Jeff, as a, hey, how do I get a hands-free door opener, and ends with, okay, great, I have a more comprehensive maintenance program in place now that, you know, is going to protect not only the customers but the employees of our organization.
And, you know, I mean, we're talking about a lot of safety that everyone could use. What have you guys been doing for your service people who have to go install these and check? I mean, what kind of precautions have you guys set up?
Barry, you want to answer that question?
Yeah, sure. So, you know, we're equipping our technicians with all the PPE necessary and prescribed by the CDC. So, you know, they're wearing masks. You know, they're provided with gloves as necessary. You know, they use hand sanitizer in between. They do clean their devices so that they're keeping them clean, because we're on tablets. So when our technicians go in and complete the work, and there's a sign off necessary for it, we've cleaned the tablet so that it's safe for those that we are encountering. So, you know, we're taking all the necessary precautions. You know, we're checking in with technicians, making sure that they're feeling well. We're asking them not to report to work and to get tested if they're symptomatic. So, you know, we're taking care to make sure that the representatives that we have in the field are safe for both the customer and that their own personal safety is taken into account.
Right. And obviously that's huge. I mean, you know, you're the ones that are installing the safety. Mm-hmm. You guys want to be the most safe. So it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You know, what are some of the like advice that you can give a business as they're slowly reopening? Say it's a small retail store. What are some of those pieces of tips that you go in there with first before you start any kind of evaluation?
I would say, you know, do your research up front, determine what's feasible for you, understand your operation and how you're going to need to interact with your clients. Come up with that plan, but don't be afraid to change if you need to. Don't, you know, be prepared to take on additional options, opportunities, know what they are and where you can get them, so that if you need to adapt quickly, you've already prepared yourself for it. I would say that's the best way. The more proactive you are up front, the more access you'll have and the more opportunity you have to adjust as you go. I wouldn't want to open up and decide at the last minute as I've opened that I'm highly at risk and I've got to reduce hours or limit occupancy even further because I'm just not quite prepared. So
one last thing on that note is conversations are free. So engaging a partner, again, we're not the only people that are doing this, but we'd be happy to be the one to have that conversation with you. Just to understand, you know, maybe it's a $200 investment that is going to make your operation much more safe and sustainable, and maybe it's heftier than that. But getting the facts are important, and understanding the costs associated with those facts are equally as important. So we're happy to guide you through that process.
Yeah. Well, and from, you know, we live in a litigious environment, and I've been on webinars with attorneys, and for example, Attorney Nils Johnson, you know, I have instructions right here that it's important that businesses take reasonable care, in quotes, and ordinary precautions. However, the greater the potential harm, the greater the ordinary precautions. So it's important to engage professionals in documenting and illustrating they're taking reasonable care and ordinary precautions, because just simply like throwing some hand sanitizer on the counter isn't going to help. I mean, that's not reasonable, right, in this environment. So I'm sure you have checklists and recommendations, and do you even certify companies or can kind of give them a confidence boost that they've taken reasonable care?
We've not gone through any form of certification process, simply because the way this evolves and has been evolving, it changes on a daily basis. So I think that definition of what's referred to as ordinary could change by the hour. Right. So I will say, though, that there is confidence in working with a contractor that has had exposure to so many different market types. Sure. And number of locations. So we're in, Barry, what is it, daily, tens and hundreds of thousands of locations. And I think we serve almost 100,000 throughout the United States collectively. So just finding a partner that has seen different location kinds and different location types, I think, is important.
Agree.
Right. It's far from one size fits all. And so there are the things that caught my eye were absolutely the door opener, the hands-free door opener, and the partitions. I mean, I've seen some hacky installations of plexiglass partitions, and but that's important. So glad to see that you have some of those partitions that you presented in the pictures. Are those fairly easy to get a hold of?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Lead time's pretty reasonable, and we're fortunate to have the support of our parent company, which is a global entity. So our supply chain is pretty vast. It's pretty comprehensive. So we do try and do business locally when and where we can, given that we came up here in Youngstown as a 97-year-old organization, but when and if we need to, we do have the power of Sodexo to really branch out and get supplies sourced to us quickly.
All right. Well, thank you both, John and Barry. It was great having you guys. A lot to think about, and if anyone needs to reach out to you, we'll make sure that we get your contact information out there. So, and without any further ado, should I say, thank you guys for joining us today. And we will be replaying this somewhere on the website too. So a lot more people can get the information. And I think it's great information to have. Everyone should know about this and the technologies that are out there for their businesses. So thank you guys. And we will, Jeff. We will be in touch. We will see you all soon.
Yeah, this is, we want to thank you. This is great evergreen content. And there's a new customary, the Brady Bunch view we're going to have. So I think, Tony, you need to look to your right. Guys, you want to join us in the Brady Bunch? You want to look up while we're looking down?
All right, we'll look up.
Anything to get tricks on Facebook Live. So I've been monitoring the Facebook Live feed, and we've had great engagement over here on Facebook Live, as well as the attendees joining us on the Zoom platform. But we went to 4 full panel because it really pops when you're scrolling through social media. So thank you guys for the great information today, and thanks for letting me pull the strings behind the scenes on optimizing the views of the video.
Great. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, guys.